death, and then we never ever give a chance to investigate and what happens in the next life or in the future life. So if we never remember the death, and even though if you practice dharma and you will never practice dharma perfectly. So in the very morning, if you do some kind of session, you can practice. So that very moment, if you didn't remember the death, if you do that practice in that session, like it's okay for some extent, but it's not so perfect. So what happens? Because of the result that we are unable to remember the death from the very moment when we wake up, so that day we always engage in activity of doing kind of so many things. Then for your betterment. So after you finish you can say, morning session, you can say, if you meditation, whatever, in that very moment you are unable to remember the next life, you can say, death or the impermanent. If you didn't meditate on impermanent or death, the result is that. Okay. If you meditate on the impermanent, so what happens? And after you finish the session, then you will just, right after that, you will just go to do some kind of activities which can accumulate the money, and it's just try to go to find a job or whatever. It's always engaged in the world essential activities. And that so that's why when we in the session, it's very important to do this kind of things. So if we finish the sessions and if you do this kind of other activities, and it's really an obstacle for us, for what? To do our good practice. So that's why it's very important to do our good practice when you are in a session. So when you are able to meditate on the, remember the impermanence, and that time is very easy for you to just, concentrate on attachments and anger. So impermanent is something like that. Suppose there is some matter, and if you pour the hammer on that, and it will collapse. And also where the water gets boiled up, if you pour cold water, it will cool down. It's like that. The meditation of impermanence is something like that, to stop the attachment and anger. No. No. So we can say fire is something like an attachment or anger, and boiling water, So if you pour the cold water down, it's something more like meditation on impermanence, which is just collapse down. So it's very beneficial. So if you didn't meditate on impermanence, or if you didn't remember the impermanence, then you will never get a chance to yourself to do a perfect practice.
Metawa Sangari Naran Tambo Nelia Tambo Kulung to design Metawa Kongore, Palaya Muji Komja to Metawa Kongore, Tamamalam Jatu Zion, Metawa Kongore, on the Pasuma case.
So impermanent is very important in all the stages. There are three different kinds of stage: initial stage, middle stage, and the final stage. In the initial stage is the stage when we are setting the motivation. When we are setting the motivation. Yeah. In the initial stage, when we're setting the motivation, when we meditate on impermanence, then we are able to do a good meditation. We are able to do the firm meditation in the middle. You can say in the middle. And also, when we are in the middle stage, when we are doing meditation, it's very helpful for us to meditate on the impermanence. When we meditate on impermanence, and it helps us to not to distract our minds to go here and there. Because if we distract our minds, which means that you are just distracted with sensual things. So then at the right moment, if you meditate on impermanence, then you can able to, just concentrate your mind in a very particular direction. So when you in the middle stage, when you do the meditations, at that time, if you really firmly meditate on impermanence, and it really helps you to do a strong dedication. So when you do the strong dedication with the understanding of impermanence, and then your dedication will be really a perfect dedication. So when you are able to meditate on the impermanence, and there's no way, no chance to yourself is distracted by, you can say, worldly sensual things and anger and so forth. So that's why the meditation on impermanence is very important. It's the heart of teaching.
지난 저번에 봐도야를 미슈 본다다는 저 둘이서 돌아야 여러 많은 치워지 오늘 미슈 본다 정에 침모 봐서 돌아야 말이야.
So that is something which is really immovable. Any kind of things that we appear in the world, we can just destroy it by using any kind of means, weapons, so forth. But we can't destroy that by weapons. So that is something that is there always.
메시라고 저기 그게 그래서 갖다 보시면 메시라고 지금부터 메시라고 그러고 자돈 파파마시아에 시고와시아디 추고도는 미 산재고 말은 지금 메시아를 말로 갖다 보전에 지금에서 소배야 말이다.
So the fact of the death is something that is, like you can't remove the fact of death from you can say by any kind of means. Suppose you can take the example of the people who can really speak well, who are really very much talented in speaking, and who are really can say the people who are really brilliant, and they can say something, but they are unable to remove the fact of that. That is there.
야, 중간인데 내가 나도 배셔 때 뭐지 비는데 여러 친구를 뭐지 비야 또 대한민지 아처마다 저 와서 되는 거 아니잖아. 대학교는 뭐지 비야 이렇게 길마다 지금 지금 감사해요 말아.
So, in terms of court, in the court, in terms of court, and the court can decide some kind of punishment for the, you can say, the one who do the crime, who committed the crime, they give a punishment. But, that the court cannot give the punishment for the death to destroy the death. The death is there. It's a fact. So the sentient beings who are in this earth, the sentient beings who are in this samsara, so the sentient beings who are in this samsara or in this earth, that's very indefinite about their life. Sometimes, like, they have a, you can say, limitless of life. You can say the length of their life is really limitless. And sometimes their life is really too short as that of 10 years. So this is the age of that in a maximum like 1 century age. But we say that it's the time, it's the age of that we are having, you can say 100 years, but it's not so definite, because there are some who are just dead, who died in the mother's womb, and they are just died by birth. Right after the birth, they get died. And they just remain like 10 years, maybe 50 years, but it's not indefinite. It's not so average. That's very indefinite. So right now here, we all seems to be very smart and beautiful right now here. But after a few years, what happens? We never know. So maybe we all finished. So that's why we say that the life is really indefinite. So this is the fact of life. So it's very important by considering the fact, then it's the right time for us to practice Dharma. So by thinking such a fact, and we may just think that, oh, I don't need the food, I want to practice Dharma. I don't need clothes, I want to practice Dharma. I don't need a house to stay, I want to practice Dharma. We have to think about practice, because if we think about the fact, it's something like that. So, to practice Dharma, it doesn't mean that it's a traditional. It doesn't mean that it's cultural. It doesn't mean that some kind of, we can say, you are practiced under the pressure. It's a practice. It's a practice. It's a practice that which remove your sickness and to develop your happiness, or it's a practice to remove the sufferings and to accumulate the happiness. So that's why we say that we need to practice Dharma. And we never say that to practice Dharma is a traditional custom, something like So the practicing Dharma by yourself is not something that you are donating for Dharma. It's the thing that the Dharma can really help you. Yeah. So practicing Dharma by yourself is not the fact that you are donating to Dharma. It's the fact that Dharma really donates you. So what Dharma donates you that which donates you to remove your sufferings and which gives you happiness? That's a donation from the Dharma. So it's very important for us to know it. Actually, the one who practices Dharma, we never say the practitioner, the Dharma practitioner, we never say the Dharma practitioner is very much So we never said that, Dharma is really benefit for the practitioner. We never said that the practitioner is not benefit to. The practitioner never benefits Dharma. Only Dharma benefits practitioner. So therefore, there will be a shortage of facilities of what? To have a long life in this samsara, in this earth. During the, you can say, immeasurable lifetimes, during the immeasurable lifetimes, the life which is really out, like very long lifetimes, like limitless lifetimes, what happens? And they never create such a weapons to reduce their life. But right now, we are very short life. What happens? We are producing such a weapons which shorten our life more. Why? It's like all this right now, all the human beings are so fragile and so delicate that we can die in a very moment, but still we are trying to produce such a big weapons to kill us. Why? So I feel that in these times, the human beings in this samsara and this very earth, I think that they are really crazy. They're really fools. Because they think that it's too hard to die. Because the fact is that they are creating so many protection which you can say shorten your lives. Weapons, arms and air conditions and more and so forth. So that's why we say that these times we are developing our country and society. What we do, we collapse all the mountains and all the, you can say, fields, and we just flow all that and we constructed, you can say, houses and so forth. So what happens? There are so many, you can say, formless springs that who stays there. So we always harms them. So what happens when we do that and we harms them, and in return what they do harms us? Because of that, they came across more disease and more problems and more conflicts so forth in the human society. So fact is that when we construct a good road, when we made a good drainage system, when we made a beautiful garden, from one point of view we said that it's so beautiful and so nice, so fresh. But thing is that those spirits and animals who are used to stay there, we make them homeless. So that's not true. That's not true. So anyhow, indirectly, we are really harmful for them, those who are, you can say, formless spirit.
나도 시계를 직접 내 마음에 시계만 보지요. 제가 디가를 하는 제 계획 동작을 따라 숨겨두지 내리 시작하지 집에 있던 주정과 생각이 나서 민망이 되나서 소리하나 병기지 그래서
So, acts of human beings, there are, you can say, like billions of creatures that who have a life, acts of human beings. So, it's very important for humans to just think about their life too.
지단 시계만 맞아요. 순진 탑재는 순배견이야. 처리 모양이야. tun진 들어가고 아주 치안 개념을 두고 그랬어.
So, instead of engaging in such a practice that to create, shorten our lives, just to harm the, you can say, the spirit and so forth, it's very important for us to engage in such activities which restrain our life, to, you can say, lengthen our life. So it's very important for us. So you can take the example. So from the one person, from the one aspect, we say that we create such a good facilities which can develop the human time and so forth. You can say for the human convenience that we develop so many, you can say vehicles and so forth. Like you can take the one car or taxi, whatever. So because of the taxi, how many people get died for accidents and so forth? From one point, we say that we develop it for the sake of human convenience, but that's not true. So the place where there's no vehicles, there's no airplanes, they didn't get a chance. They never happened to be died because of air crash or because of accident. They're really happy. So in terms of in the very developed areas, what happens is because of these so many modern facilities, and they come across so many, they're taking so many lives. So in terms of food, and food is something that we can survive for us. For our survival, we used to eat food. So even though the food is something that food is such a matter that we can use for survival, we can say for our life, to alive, we eat what food. To restrain our life, we eat food. But sometimes what happens, because of food poison, what happens? They get so many people's life. So actually, you can take the example of medicine. Medicine is really a good facility. For what? For the betterment of human society or so forth. But in course of time, there comes a new doctors or whatever. They give us such medicine. They're taking us so many lives of human beings. Actually, it's a facility. So then around the Shia, when you bet Tunji Janja, Shia Lajana, Tunji Janja Kese. About during what the Yaga Tunji did, so whatever the modern facilities that we are having right now, as far as I feel, it's more like we are making a facility which shorten our life in any direction, in any circumstances. So if we produce such a modern facilities which can benefit our human being, if our human form is happen to be so hard as that of iron, it's okay then. But our human form is something like water bubble. It just comes and goes.
대간데 안에 줘야 되는 이 말을 리신도 줘도 어떻게 넘버는 잘하면 도왔어.
So what happens?
현대 잘하면 도왔어.
So what happens? So our life, second by second, day by day, our life becomes short and short. So is it there any chance to donate our life? Is there any chances of having donation to strengthen our life? No.
어제 두자는 안 거. 봐. 다는 그래 쉬어도 내가 쉬어나 쉬래. 다는 들은 매나 쉬어도 좋아지 주는 매너로 저는도 양 약속이 또. 다양 근데 바시기 연에 다 tun시와 tun지 뭔가 연에 다 쉬어도 양 봐. 직접은 밀려는 거지나 이것도 왔어요.
So if it's okay, if all this you can say these are facilities which you can say this facility the modern facilities which what to do which really has not a house which really acts in that way that which really shorten our lives. It's okay if that shorten our life. If we get it that close to death, it's okay. If we don't have a next future life, but that's not true that we have a future life. So that's why.
That's why
the fact is that the stream of the mental continuum, okay, say the stream of the mind is something like very continuity. It's spontaneously, it continues and it goes. So the stream of the mind or the continuity of the mind is just goes forever. What happened in course of time, they get another form, just that change that form and goes to another form, change that form, another form. That continues forever. There's no any break.
샘되고 기자지만 양고 둘은 누구 유다 누구 냐 누구 유관 누구 하바에만 고 소리 지기
So the mental continuum or the stream of the mind just goes forever, whether it goes to hell or whether it goes to wherever, it just goes, it follows forever, just changing the form.
다스님도 가르치고 해서는 그때니까 대도님도 그러고. So 어떻게 쉬어요.
게딩이가
대도님.
So when you can say mental continuum follows continuously, there are 4 different kind of you can say supporters, like more like supporters of facts. 4 different kind of facts always follows with you can say stream of mind. They are like virtues and non-virtues, and happiness and unhappiness always go together with the I can say stream of mind.
아주 생년도 안에 다 되고 바자망아 연안에 동행님도 망치하고 있어. 동행님으로 그걸 가지고 있어.
So in that mental stream of that mental mind, if there are more, you can say, if there are more imprints on, you can say, non-virtues, they have imprinted they have to follow with the sufferings. Yeah. If they can say, in the continuum of the mental imprint, there is more, you can say, like negative qualities, and they has to make a friend with the suffering.
교화 망가연에고 타베 교화 남아송인가 교화 사제 교화에 그네 주가로 교화 대화도 말해 이는 유에 대응을 대화
if in the continuum of the mental stream there is you can say the virtues, you can say sensual virtues activities, like we do you can say virtues
대화 타마다 말아 유에 대응을 인도도
we do a virtuous action, and that give us some kind of happiness. And that happiness is not the perfect happiness, just like you can say like a sensual happiness. So that happiness just follows with the happiness which can changeable happiness, like which not the happiness, which not the perfect happiness.
세상은 좀 줘야 돼. 보고 니잘라 야야시고 여러 말았어.
So both the friend that we follows continuously, you can not be the stream of the stream of the mental continuum follows. You got two friends, and both the friends are not so good.
세상 동반인 또 마도나 아니고 대화지 요대 대화를 주는 대화 우리 동반이 다음에 전에 마도나
So
생기냐면더라.
So these two friends are not so good. So what's the best for us is that in this very life, it's very important for us to understand the fact of emptiness, the fact of the perfect view or the correct view.
제가 인상 다양한 조치가 왜 남조수냐면 뒤에 유나 네 뭐야 내가 두고 야고 있는 줄
If we happen to have a practice of three principles of path, then it's a good friend, and we can consider it as a good friend, and it's not only consider, it's really a good friend. In normally, what we do, the third friend that we have, we always try to back the third friend. We backed backside. We always, like what to turn the back. There's another friend, third friend. For third friend, what we do, we always turn the third friend, which means that we always show the backside to the third friend. So what we do, backed, here backed means that we never give our attention for what? The three friends. What are the three friends? Three principles of path. For that, actually it's a perfect friend. But what we do, we never give an interest, we never give our attention, we always ignore that. So we turn back the three principles of path. So I feel like to stop here because I don't feel like to say by one human being to us all the time. So if you have a question, most welcome. So it's not so okay to speak by one person for hours and hours. So likewise, sometimes what happens if you try to sing a song, if you sing one song all the time, it's not so musical. So now I would like to hear something new song from your side.
After we die, our body is gone.
Pardon, Scott? Yeah, true. Yeah.
Isn't that continuous? What is the nature of the Big Bang?
You mean the mental continuum or the just body?
What is the nature of mental continuum? Because I think Buddhism, they teach us to give up everything.
Yeah.
Everything is a label.
Yeah.
So everything is a label, and what is there left?
Continue. Tagala. Manzuki nangbeshuni karishiego sinara. Manzuki ta lurindi dini tangazo chedugo nasra. Chibi kapsulas. Nanzuki karchigo sina tangazuki suputi sulla sha. Assembly restore resra. Nangbeshuni karishiego sina manzuki samle tanyegi tangsam re la ores. Tanyegi tangsam re la ores. Tanyegi tangsam re lagi la. Nangazuki 개와치모도 균투 중행기 쌤디 요르도고 셰버디 요르도고 ndi나 ndi 간내로지스
간이가 따서 손은 로요래 간이가 따서 뭐 그러면은 나는 유유가 도로 안에 맨날 도 안에 유시 안에 매주 도로
so because of like everything is imputed by our mind, so that's why it continues. If it is not imputed in the conventional level, so what happens? Then it has to be exist, or it has not to be exist. For example, so you can, for example, you can take the example of $100. So if there is $100, like if that is happen to be exist from its own side, so it's not necessary to create by human beings or whatever to purpose, because it's not rely on the production, paper or so forth, because they have produced to create $100, like they will use a lot of energy for human beings and so forth. It's not exist from its own side. If that is, if it is exist from its own side, then it has to be dollar there from before we met you can say before we introduce dollar. There has to be dollar before. So because of that, it's the reason that it's because of it's just like the imputation in a conventional level. So that's why we are able to use the dollar. So we are able to use the $100 as a dollar, the value of $100, because it is just imputed in the conventional level. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Your question is really nice. Because there are 4 different kinds of school. Yeah. Those who can say like up to below 10% the highest school in the Buddhism, and they always ask the 10% this kind of question to Pasangiga the way you ask. So Swatantika school always asks the Prasangiga Matemika that if anything is imputed in the conventional level and there is no activities, they always ask the Prasangiga Matemika in that way. So likewise, so you have your name. So when you try to search your name, so you got a name, So if you try to search your name, is it possible to find on your speech, mind, body? But name which you got is just collision, just a consolidation of that will form. For that you have designated just name. So it's like that.
Yeah, let's go to it.
Well, with teachings said have existed since this times. Like, can you hear me? Okay, but how do I so if a container has existed since times, also I guess a little bit times, and also slow. If that's the case, that all person beings and all the eyes beginning this time, does it mean that in all the universe that exists today, there's like a specific number of beings of continuums that exist already? Does it mean that we'll be no more and no less?
I don't understand.
Saying this is that if all beings have existed for human time, then is there a certain number of beings?
What's your first one?
Also, all the beings have existed since the start.
그나 다 딜라오라는 저기 개월도 통마여 말라고라. 개월도 통마 매고 있나스라. 통마 매고 있나. 근데 디노 여기 심진이조가 장가지여러. 심진이조 장가지여러.
심지가 장가 열어서 심지가 장가 열어서 네.
개월도 통마여 말했어. 개월 통마 매고 되는 것을 사들려라고라. 근데 대위기도 심지가 장가지여러.
심지 파샤 지난해 교환가마다 장가 열어서 장가 되게 말았어.
So for a while, it's better to think about the sentient beings. You can try to count how many rebirths you have taken till now. It's also countless. It's numberless. If there is a number, then there is a start. There's a starting point. So you are trying to count only yourself, that how many rebirths that you have taken till now. You can't count that. It's countless. So for that, if you happen to find a number for that, then there should be start from 1. If it start from 1, then it has to be a start. So that's why we say there's no starting point.
Also, it's asking if the number of it's
I understand.
장가 내에서 남바 내가 그죠. 장가 내에서 장가 간다 자오다.
So here say we is a numberless. So how if this is numberless? So if this is numberless, so how can we say that there is a number? Because I told you before, you are unable to number, you are unable to count your lifetime, only one human being as you. It's a numberless. It's a countless. So how can you number those all limitless of sentient beings? That's just If you say that it's numberless, then if you try to say it's a number, then it's just meaningless. Yeah. 나오다. 심지어이 다 장가져가. 아니, 되게 가져다 당하라면 뭐 딱따지요래서 가이는 가도지. 저거라다 이제 안 가이는 이걸 찍고 접찍래 그래요래서.
다 섬유가 비어된 거데. 섬유는 거도 고사도 말아 인간 당번에 방해들이요.
당번에
방해를 해야 말아. 네, 돈을 상계하려 그러.
야,
그래서 사바지 기아요는 그 도마죠.
So those, like another, you can say, another side of your question. So is that you asked that. So for that, the answer is that because whatever you can say, sentient beings already here, and they are really fixed. There's no additional, there's no subtractions. If there happen to be one additional, then it has to be start, So it's a fix already, If there happen to be lessen by one consciousness, Then it has a starting point. Starting point and end.
So the Tama Chuma, the Tama Token, Tama Tomade, Sanjabado Yadorba, Yama. What's that?
Okay. So,
Tome Tayus and the Koala Toma Major, Toma Tayus. Rangin. Sidan the Rang single Toma the Tama Yoma. Rani Koala Tomata the Yomati, Rani Koa Tajan to the long corner, and just like Koala Taba Taba, Rani you call a Taba Sayana, Koala Tomata.
So, there's no, you can say, starting point for the consciousness. As being a samsaric being, if you happen to be in a samsara, so in course of time you practice, and if you just, because of your practice, you are able to cease the samsara, then we says that a samsaric being, in the time of samsaric being, it has its end. When you are able to, because of practice, you are able to cease the samsara. Do you understand? So that's why we say there's an end in samsara, but there's no end in the consciousness. But only thing is that they purified your consciousness, so that's why you are able to go up or to lead to the path of enlightenment. But thing is that you are able to cease the end of samsara. The continuity of the consciousness is the same, but purity of the consciousness is different.
Mm-hmm.